What's going on, people? Welcome back to the match preview as we look ahead to the game against City on Saturday evening kickoff. I'm joined by the usual crew, Patrick T and AJ. Stan, he's been out injured. I think he's got a muscle injury, so we'll see what happens with him. He's currently on the sidelines right now. You know what, AJ? AJ's also out injured, but he's coming in. He's not fully match fit right now. He's about 50%, but he still stepped into the pitch. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. AJ, how you feeling?
Listen. Even on my deathbed, I'll be here. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
He'll be here no matter what. Exactly, he's here.
On my deathbed, we'll just load up the Zoom. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, look, he's here. Even though we're not on Zoom, but fair enough. He might be loading up the Zoom to do another show for another thing. I'm not too sure, but fair enough, charge it. Look, if you did enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let us know your comments in the comment section down below, your thoughts ahead of the game, and turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future videos. Gents, they were all smiling, but a few days ago, even now, some of you may be upset. It was very frustrating result against Villa. Very frustrating, more than a result. Performance, barely created anything in that game. I mean, we were all right defensively, even though they created chances. So I'll start off with you, T. Going into this game, how are you feeling? Are you over it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to be over it. I mean, I think it, especially if you're somebody who's actually a part of the club, man, you got to look forward. You can't let that hold you back, man. I mean, like you said, they were pretty good defensively in that match. I mean, outside of own goal, we did a pretty good job. They didn't create a whole lot against us, but we didn't do enough going forward. So on to the next, man, and looking forward to trying to do something in these next few games.
Yeah, look, I was frustrated massively, as you guys saw in the live match reaction. However, I'm feeling, I'll say, I don't care if I'm not angry after defeat, I will not be angry. If I'm angry after defeat, I'll show my emotions. You get it? And I was very annoyed. I was very annoyed by the performance because it was pathetic. It was pathetic. The fact that we had all our best players on the pitch and we didn't create chances. But for you, Patrick, going into this game, after the defeat, a day or two later, I looked at hindsight. I looked at a bigger picture. And going into that game, we're coming off positive performances against Liverpool and also against Brentford that was unfortunate not to get a win. And in this game, it was the first time Wilfred started in a while. Eze's also been, not starting as well. Let's hope that this is a one-off. But does that give you a bit of confidence when you look at our previous results against tougher opponents?
100%. I mean, I just finished doing the Back and End podcast. Check it out, please. Everybody that tunes in. And again, it was at the time that it happened, like the Brentford late goal. It was frustrating, but I always just try and keep a little perspective. I went through it. Every match basically since we came back from the World Cup has been very difficult. We had Fulham, Bournemouth, Chelsea, United, Man United again, Newcastle, Brentford, Liverpool, Brighton, and we got Villa, City, Arsenal, Brighton. I challenge anybody to look at those fixtures over a 3-month period and find a more difficult time in the history of Palace. Forget, I remember we had like a month before the end of the season, a really bad run in, or a beginning of the season, or sometime around Christmas time. That is 3 months of, I hate to say, of hell. It just has been. So the fact that we are still 12th is amazing. Yes, the gap between us and the bottom three has shrunk and it's continued to shrink. But you have to look forward, because if you look back and be so negative, life just becomes difficult. So for me, upset at the time, yes, but looking forward to hopefully a result in the next 3 or 4. I definitely think we're getting results in April, May, but let's focus on City this weekend.
Yeah, City's not going to be easy. That's the thing. They're challenging for the title, and also they seem like they picked up a bit of form recently, even though they've been City and they've still been second. They've dropped off by their standards, but it seems like they picked it up. So I'm going to be talking to a City fan for the opposition preview and getting their thoughts. So make sure to check that out. That should be coming out tomorrow. But AJ, for you, do you make any changes? Because after that performance, it's hard. It's a hard one, because after that performance, you would think that you should be making changes. But when you look at that lineup, that is the lineup that we all wanted. So is it a case of Vieira should make changes in terms of personnel, or is it just moving players in the right position? Because that's been the main conversation after the Villa game and even going into this game.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Quite a bit actually. I think sometimes from a fan perspective, you have to kind of sit there and think to yourself, well, what is it you want? You want this player to get in the starting lineup, they get in the starting lineup. We don't pick up the result anyway. You get the players that come in the most recent game, and granted, they weren't particularly in the positions that you wanted, but we still didn't get a result. If anything, we kind of looked a bit worse off. I think we're gonna be obviously mandatory changes because obviously the core is gonna have the suspension. That might have to shake the manager into kind of making some kind of strengthening changes on the defensive side of things anyway, because obviously the core initially he essentially defends our back four. Anyway, that might potentially be an open door for Hughes to step in. We might have to resign ourselves to the fact that Luca might potentially get a shout. But then I'm hoping at the same time, if we're going to create any kind of attacking threat to Manchester City, historically, it has been Wilf and Elise that have done that in most recent times. I think the manager is going to have to make changes regardless. And if he wants a response from the players and from the squad and from the team, he's going to make some changes regardless anyway. And I think Vieira often, not all the time, but he can often be reactionary depending on the circumstances that played in front of him. So with the Decore suspension, I'm a little bit worried about that. But I think mandatory, there are going to be changes in the squad anyway, because even with the positive changes that we saw in the lineup, it obviously didn't play out well. So I think he's going to go back to the drawing board with O'Shane and hopefully give us something to worry about, or more importantly, give Man City something to worry about and give us something to think about and give us something to cheer.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think there needs to be changes, but for me, it's more about changes in terms of positions. And I said this after the Villa game as well. But for them changes to be happening in terms of positions, I want Wilf out wide, I want Eze as a number 10, I want Elise down the right-hand side. Someone has to be out that lineup, unless it's Jordan Ayew up front. And I don't know if he's going to put Ayew up front. And if it ain't Ayew up front, for me, I want to see Edouard. That used to be a chant. I want to see it. Oh no, I want to be Edouard. What was it? I forgot about it. But
close enough.
I want to be Edouard. Yeah, I want to be Edouard. No, I want to see Edouard. Let's just say that. I want to see Edouard.
I want to see Edouard.
I never really took off, did it? I never took off, did it? That chant.
Never. Because they never learned it.
They tried.
They never really learned it.
Because Celtic use it and we want to be original. So
HF is the original, right? Exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But we got bigger problems than that. First of all,
That's
if he's not
great
on the pitch,
point.
we're not chanting about that. Yeah, exactly. We got trust me. We got bigger problems.
Who cares about chance?
Yeah. But yeah, look, for me, position changes need to happen. And Edouard, ideally, I want him to have a run of games. I'm not saying I expect him to score if he starts against Man City, but I want him to have a run of games with the players that we got out there. But of course, the main talking point going into this game is the change with Decore, and I think this is massive for us because Lokonga by itself is not a holding midfielder, and he would get absolutely demolished if we play him as a sole number 6. So someone needs to play alongside him. But let me ask you this, T: who plays alongside Decore? Because for me, I'm leaning towards Hughes or even Luca.
Well, you said Decore's not playing.
Yeah, he can't play. He's got a red card.
Now you said who's playing next to Decore? I was like, Decore's not playing.
I mean, he's playing
next to Lokonga.
Yeah, well, yeah, next to Lokonga. Yeah, next to Lokonga.
Here's my thoughts. I think we might be able to see, and it's kind of like depending on the pragmatism that we see from PV. I wouldn't be surprised if we go 3 at the back, and you see a 2-man midfield, and maybe it's Lokonga and Ahamada, or maybe it's Lokonga and Hughes. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I would be surprised if we went 3 at the back, to be honest with you.
3 at the back. Would you be happy with that, Patrick? I don't know if you would change it to 3 at the back, in all honesty. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not
not sold on 3 at the back. I think, first of all, I don't think we're in that kind of form to confidently play 3 at the back. And I think against a team like Man City, I think we'd get exposed pretty quickly, to be fair, especially on the counter-attack with players like Mahrez and Jack Grealish. I think it would be too much of a risk, or if anything, it would be a bit too counterproductive. I think we'd be in trouble on 1-2 counter-attacks. We'd be 4-0 down by half-time. I think the natural selection is Hughes, personally.
So funny enough, you mentioned that. In the first match, we did go 3 at the back. So I'll give you the
That's
lineup.
why I said it.
But remember that.
Mitchell,
But how did that game end?
Okay, but how did it start? We were 2-0 up at halftime. So let me just get back there. We had a great first half. Thank you. All right. So Mitchell, Klein out wide, Gahey, Anderson, Ward. Obviously, that'll be Richards, hopefully. Eza, Ayew out wide, Schlupp, Decore in the middle, and Edward. So I didn't even think about that before you guys mentioned it, but I don't think that's a terrible idea. If you replace Ward with
Richards,
we're better at the back when we do it.
Lokonga, Hughes or Luca work for me. Eze on one, Wolf on one side, Elise on the other side, and then Edward up top. I don't think that's the worst line we could possibly go with. I really don't. And I just think that, honestly, guys, think back. That first half, I know those set piece goals, we played really, really well. And then that cyborg came out of nowhere and destroyed us. But that first half, honestly, go back to it. That was a really good performance. It really was. Second half was a disaster because Haaland decided to become the best striker God ever made. But honestly, I thought that first half we played really well. If we could replicate that first half at home and be 2-0 up with Wilf instead of not having, I mean, we might have a chance. I mean, that's a lot to ask for, don't get me wrong, but I don't think 3 at the back's the worst thing in the world.
I don't think we can do a whole 90 minutes with 3 at the back. I'm not sold on it. I think that's
what you know what we may not. We very well may not, because when we go to make substitutions, which inevitably we will, maybe something changes. So
I mean, we could start with it.
I would be surprised if we started.
But hold up. So AJ, why don't you think that we can't do 3 at the back? What's the
personally?
problem?
I don't think, because sake of argument, let's say what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the wing backs, right? So you're gonna essentially go with Klein on the right, and then who would you go with the left? Mitchell, yeah.
Mitchell, yep.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
I reckon. Remember, Man City have got some extreme players at their disposal that they can just whip off the bench and counter press us. And I think that's essentially what happened the last time we played Man City at home. Because when Haaland scored, remember, they were off crosses that came off the wing, on both wings. And remember, Haaland in the air is going to dominate Anderson or Gahey or Richards. It's just going to happen. I think we can sort of pin him down on occasion. But kind of like you lot said, kind of like what Patrick said, that absolute robot and threat of a man is going to give us hell. So essentially, the only way I think if you just have the solid back 4 and then keep Hughes and Lokonga in the centre midfield and then keep Eze at the number 10, we've just got a bit more of a solid attacking and then the 2 wingers and then a decent striker. I think that just it makes more sense in the back of my mind. I just feel like we wouldn't be able to, Mitchell and Klein wouldn't be able to do it for a whole 90 minutes against those wingers like Mahrez and Grealish. I just don't think they can.
Yeah, but
not for 90 minutes. It's too much.
Having more defenders there against City, I think you can have the argument, do you want to have that many defenders at home against City, which is Man City? I think we should. I think we're playing for a point here. Mainly, I think everyone will be happy if we come on Saturday and we come on a live match reaction and we got a point. But for me, it makes even more sense because we don't have the players to play in midfield anyways. You might as well tighten up at the back. Decore is our best holding midfielder. You can put Hughes there, you can put Luca there, but 90 minutes against City and having just 2 players behind him rather than 3, I'd rather go for the 3 at the back rather than the 2. And at least like that, we know that we're going to be outrunning midfield. I don't think we got good enough midfielders to hold it down for us.
One of the things that helps us though, and just really quick, Patrick, I think, is that if you do 3 at the back and you include Richards instead of Ward, it gives us a 3rd guy that can play the ball in the air against a really good guy that plays in the air in Haaland. So that's, I mean, they're very direct when it comes to crossing into the box. So if we want to be able to defend that, having that 3rd defender inside the box might be a really good thing for us.
So last year we played them at home. Friday, we remember the 0-0 game, the Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
We played a 4-2-3-1. The regular back 4, Klein, Mitchell, Anderson, Gahey. But do you remember, Mitchell? Do you remember who the 2 center midfielders were against City last year? Anyone take a guess?
Kouyaté and Gallagher?
No.
Kouyaté and Luca.
Schlupp.
And
no swear words in there, please.
My point is, imagine that midfield, and they played well in that game because of 0-0. We were able to hold, City to no goal.
As well. I remember that game.
Of course we were lucky. I remember the game. Don't get me wrong. We're gonna have to lucky on Saturday, by the way, too. My point being, we could probably go to a 4-2-3-1, but now you've upgraded Schlupp and Kouyaté to Lokonga and upgraded maybe Maka or whatever, and then you've got I mean, my point is you can go the 4-2-3-1 or the 5 in the back. My point is obviously last year they didn't have Haaland, which is a massive upgrade, but honestly, Haaland has not played that well of late. I mean, fingers crossed. I shouldn't even say that, right? Because now we're looking at 4 goals on Saturday. But you know what I mean? But I know. Take that back. I'm taking that back. But you know what I mean? So my thing is, I'm not looking forward to the match. But I mean, if he tweaks a few things, but again, going back to what D said, yes, put Wilfred supposed to play, Eze supposed to play, or Lise, put for the love of God to shut everybody up, put everyone up top, please. Seriously, just leave him up top. I don't even care. Leave him up top, and then just go with that. And if it doesn't work out, he can say I told you so as he gets fired. But my point is, let him play up there and see what happens.
All right, then. Let's just say, all right, let's move on to the next topic because we've been talking about this for a bit longer than expected. Vieira, is he under pressure? I'm not saying he's going to get sacked if he loses City, but do you think after what happened against Villa, it's now more important than ever for him to at least try and get results, even in these tougher games? Because for me, I think from the fan base, what you're seeing is lots of people are really calling for him to go. And based on the performance against Aston Villa, I'm expecting, even though it's against Man City, I'm expecting either positive performance or positive result. I think there is a bit more expectations to actually bounce back and show the fans, especially at home, what we can do, because we picked up positive results against tougher opponents. I'm not saying City is going to be easy, but it needs to be one of the two, either positive performance or positive result. We need to have something to build upon because that Villa game absolutely destroyed the whole momentum around the club. I think even the fans going into this game, there's genuine worry that we're not going to be behind the players. And that's why I think something is expected. But for you, T, do you think there is a worry about Vieira's future?
Immediately, not as much immediately. I feel like I think he's really going to be more judged on our performances in April than these next 3. I think there's a little bit of pressure around how we perform against Brighton, to be honest with you, because that just is that matchup. If I'm Vieira, I'm thinking to myself, out of these next 3 matches between City, Brighton, and Arsenal, I either need to get 2 points from these next 3 matches, or I need to get 1 win.
Yeah, you're right.
I need to get 1 win, if that one, in preferably that 1 win would come against somebody like Brighton, just because, like I said, it's Brighton. You know what I'm saying?
But it's away from home. Right? I think
True. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like, when it comes to the rivalry, it's like don't either you don't lose, but don't get beat. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the outlook, honestly. So
let us know what you guys think in the comment section as well. Do you think Vieira's job is more under pressure after the Villa game? Because before the Villa game, I know there's people talking about it, but after the Villa, I've seen a lot more people go against Vieira more than before. Go on, Patrick, quickly.
So regarding that, I get the fans being upset. I just don't see it coming from the boardroom, and that's where it matters. I mean, the only way it gets a pressure on Vieira is if, I'm sure you go back to, do you remember Ian Holloway, that and you too, AJ, might have even been there. HF basically stormed after him after we lost that game, and basically by the next day he resigned, quit / was fired. It's not going to happen because I don't see Parrish, Texter, I'm not gonna mention the other 2, putting pressure on Vieira to be fired for this season. We get relegated, but I don't think they're gonna put, because one, who's gonna replace him? You gotta be realistic. We got to have a report, something that can come in with this squad and keep us up. It's not going to be Hodgson. There's no Pulis this time. There's no Allardyce. There's no Pardew. There's not like in the past that you can say, oh, hire so-and-so. There's nobody out there. You can't just get rid of him. It's not going to be Paddy McCarthy. We're not bringing back, Sean Derry. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So I get people being upset.
Suggestions are nuts.
Got to have a plan. It's not going to be Thomas Tuchel. It's not going to be Pochettino. So if we're going to be realistic, he's not going anywhere. So be upset. It's okay, but he's not going anywhere unless, like I said, the fans that sell us on Saturday, your will be there, go absolutely ballistic on him. We lose 6-0. Or, Parrish goes, you know what, this isn't where, something falls out with a player and it's not going to happen. So, again, I just don't see there being pressure on, except it inflicted by himself. He wants to win the game. And team makes a great point, man. 1 win, 2 draws, next 3 matches. We're fine. Well, I'm fine. I'm fine anyway. So.
Pochettino.
I guess you just scored for Chelsea.
I heard that from someone. I want to hear it. I heard that from somebody. I don't want to hear it.
What's the recording? Guess who you just scored for Chelsea? What's the recording? Even though
Gallagher. I'm watching it now.
Gallagher did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gallagher, exactly.
That
And
man's
apparently
name is
Chelsea are
banned
looking to
from
offload
this
him.
show, man. Stop mentioning that guy, man. What are you doing?
Apparently Chelsea
Bro, I
looking
hate
to
to
offload
you hate to
him,
see your ex
Gallagher.
doing well. You know, it's mad.
No, it's offside. It's offside.
Yeah, he's offside. Anyways, look, let's
Ooh,
move on.
way
Let's move on.
offside, yep.
We've
Come
been wasting a
on.
lot of time. All right, let's look at the league table. Surprisingly, we're still remaining 12th in the league after that Villa defeat. As you guys can see, we're at 12th with 27 points. If we do win this game magically, we'll still remain 12th. If we do draw the game, we could go potentially down to, I believe, 14th, depending on other results, even though Wolves and Forest have got difficult fixtures. So, and Leicester, if we do lose the game and Leicester win, we could potentially go down to 15th. But there's also a very good chance that we still remain 12th based on the other teams, not because we're going to pick something out of this game, based on other teams' results. Have you guys been surprised with how long we managed to stay 12th with, injuries to Will? Anderson was out for a bit, tough fixtures. The fact that we're coming towards the end of it and we're still talking about maybe another week of remaining 12.
Yeah, actually, you know what, right? Yeah, because I'm not surprised because a lot of people have been kind of frustrated and talking about this Vieira out business and all the rest of it. What a lot of people are not really looking at is we had a last win, then we had the World Cup, and then that essentially delayed or moved a lot of that chunk of the season out of the calendar. And then we went into the new year and we started the Premier League again and we had a bag of crazy fixtures. But look how many little draws we picked up in there against some big boy teams in there. Mm-hmm. This is why I personally cannot figure out why the Vieira out thing is even a thing.
Because of Aston Villa, that was the game we was
we lost against Villa.
No, but by the way, Villa are 5th on the full table. I think since Emery's joined, right now, if the league table was to start winning,
but remember, look how much money Aston Villa have invested in their squad. Look what kind of players they've got in that Villa team.
And more established managers.
They got France under 21s, France first team players. They got Brazilians in there. Yeah. They got England internationals in that squad. Like, how much? I saw an article. Was it today or yesterday about?
They got a manager that just won the
outrageous amount of money they've spent. Bang on the money. They got a serial winner in Unai Emery. And then look at that concept and then look at ours. Sometimes you have to look at the situation for what it is. We're not a big boy. There's a reason why I don't go to big boy restaurants in London every day because that's not in my budget, rude boy.
Exactly.
Like, you see what I'm saying? It's not in my budget. I can do that on occasion. Or sometimes I can go there and spend a little less than the next man, but I can't do that. So I have to operate the best I can with what I have.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you have to kind of look at it from a perspective side of thing. And Patrick raised a very important point. If you sack Vieira right now, who are you getting in?
Give me a name.
Who is the golden candidate?
Names in the chat.
There's
please, names in the chat.
Yeah, if you want Vieira out and you got
put the name in the chat. Let's make it a bit more interactive. Put the name in the chat, and don't bring me no dead manager that all coached in Russia or has been coaching in China for like Trapattoni or
you can't say that because Zerbi,
AVB or someone like that.
But you can't say that because the Zerbi, he was coaching. I think he was over in Ukraine for a bit.
He was coaching Shakhtar
Donetsk, though.
Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League.
Top team in Ukraine, exactly. Champions League side.
Look, with the Vieira thing, we already spoke about it. We'll see what the situation is next week.
But anyway, sorry. But in relation to going back to what we were saying originally. Just let the man cook, bro. We're not relegated yet. We're not even really touching relegated. Yes, it's a 6 point.
Yeah, but there is 6 points.
6 points is very fair. But do you actually think the deficit of what Forest, Everton, and them clubs are going to get a better deficit and better set of points over us? I don't see it, bro.
Well, right now, even if we lose, we'll go down to 15th based on the league table that I just showed.
So realistically, just going back to that same point, where does Palace finish? Or at what point does Palace finish in the table and you sit there and go, do you know what?
Bro, I said this though about like start of January. We're going to drop down to 15th, 16th at a certain stage of the season because of the difficult run of games that I'm surprised that it hasn't happened so far. But at some points of the season, when we're talking about April, we might even go up to maybe 11th. Like, you never know.
But then that has to go back to the credit of the manager then. Because at the end of the day, he's kept and sustained the points against the big boy teams. Like AJ, Liverpool, who just slapped Man United 7-0.
7-0. AJ and D and T, listen to this. I happen to keep... No, don't get... So it's the Forest preview paper. Well, before we played Forest, before we lost that game, the table, we were 10th place on 19 points. We were 7 points ahead of 18th place Southampton. How many points are we ahead of them now? Ahead of 18th place? 6 points. That's almost half a season ago. That's 12 matches ago.
And we were in 10th place.
We've dropped 2 places and lost only a point. And since then, we won 1 match. So my point is, yeah, it's been bad, but it could be so much worse.
It could be much worse.
It could be much worse, man. People don't get that. Well, again, I'll take that. You're right.
That's how the league works, bro. You do the best you can with what you got, and then you go and get your points. That's how a Premier League works. That's how the Premier League works.
This is no.
Because I mean, and part of it. I mean, I think when it comes to getting some of these decisions, yes, a good amount of it is luck sometimes. But what you gotta understand is, if you're out here getting points from and getting results from matches, there are going to be a lot of other teams that just aren't. They aren't getting
we got some
points.
Big points. Like
you know what I'm saying? Like
United at home,
Southampton ain't getting. They're not getting
Newcastle.
Points, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a team that, as long as there are those teams that just simply aren't getting points, and when you're going out there working hard and scraping and getting draws, it makes a difference, man. It really does.
Personally, I think it's down to the fact that we don't have a cup run on our side, because this time last season we weren't exactly chasing Champions League football. You see what I'm saying? So if you compare this season to last season, it's similar. The only differential was we were in the FA Cup. We slapped about Millwall. Everyone got gassed. If you take away, if you had flung a cup run in there and we were still in the FA Cup and we were in the same position in the league, people ain't bitching as much. It's not happening.
No. I disagree. You're forgetting how the football that we played last season compared to this season. Me and T made a video about it and live Palace News why we're struggling to score goals. We are struggling to score goals this season. There is a difference there. Last season, I think I had the stats out with me. Last season we scored about 50 goals, and in terms of per game, we had like 1.32 goals per game. This season we're having 0.84, so we are scoring less goals per game. And we are looking less exciting. There isn't a press there. So this season and last season is completely different, because last season was getting unlucky not to win games, and this season we're getting lucky to get points out of games. It's the complete opposite, and we didn't build on it. So this season, it has, of course, the FA Cup last season did help, but even in the league, we got very unlucky. We should have finished higher than we did last season, based on the football that we played and some of the last-minute goals that we conceded, and we didn't build on that. So this season, I think it's if you look at the league table, cool, you might have a point there. But I think if you look at the eye test and where we was heading towards, we have regressed from last season. I'll say that. But look, let's not talk about this too much. Let's move on to about a little bit of City chat. The last 5 games, they beat Newcastle 2-0. They beat Bristol City 3-0. Bournemouth 4-1. They drew with Leipzig 1-0. In the league, they drew with Forest 1-0. What are we expecting in terms of City's threats? I think Haaland is the main focus to stop. I think Grealish should be in off form. That's another player that we have to focus on. Grealish against Nathaniel Klein should be quite interesting. But is there any other players that you guys, or let's start with Haaland. How do you stop Haaland? Patrick.
Limit his touches in the box, clearly, because last few matches hasn't got many touches, hasn't scored many goals. But you're missing a very key player, Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is the man for me to stop. I mad respect for Grealish and Mahrez and Foden, but it all runs through Kevin De Bruyne. You got to find a way to stop him. I don't know how you do that.
He's the engine.
He's the engine. Yeah. So stop De Bruyne feeding Haaland, and you've got a slight chance. We've done it before. Again, last season, the 0-0 and the 2-0 win away. It's not impossible. It's the same manager from last year that did it. It's not like it's a new manager that did it last year. Different players slightly, but for the main, it's been the same squad as last year. It's going to be difficult. Yeah. My only hope is that Haaland, again, I'm going to say it, I'm going to totally regret this comment, has not been firing as much of late as he was at the beginning of the season. He was scoring 3 hat-tricks like in a row. Hasn't done it. I'm looking at it, he's got 27 goals though. 27 by himself. So,
and he's not firing as of late, which shows the wild season he's been having.
Which shows you that, right, it's probably going to happen on Saturday. But
he's got more goals than our entire team.
Listen, man, he's a cyborg, man. I don't care what I say. He's not human.
Are Man City playing in the Champions League this week, or is it next week?
No, right. The following after, which is good. He might have to rest players. He might rest players.
Yeah, he might rest a few.
They had two. So that no, I don't think they're gonna rest them. They had 2 days
Please,
of
they
rest.
can. Please rest somebody.
No,
Rest
I don't
Haaland.
think they're resting them. I'll be honest. Pep already said it. They rested. Well, they had 2 days rest after the most recent game against Newcastle, so they'll be back in training. I'm ready for this game, man. It's going to be difficult, but let's move on to the score predictions.
Best part of the show.
I am somewhat feeling. I don't know what it is.
Calm down.
I feel like
calm
we can.
down. Oh,
No, I feel like we can spoil the party. I'm not saying we can go for a win, but I feel like we can spoil it. We can spoil it. We can add more misery because see, as of late, yes, they've been playing well. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think there's a potential there, especially if we go 3 at the back. And that might happen. That might happen if Vieira, thinks about it and looks at the midfield situation. And I wouldn't blame him if he done that because the second midfield option is absolutely dreadful. We don't have proper midfielders there. I'm going to go for 1-0. 1-0. I'm going for a draw at home. I thought we were solid defensively against Aston Villa, even though they did create a few chances here and there. But we tried to limit them as much as we can. I think our problems was going forward, but I assume he's going to put players in the right position, and if he does, I think we can get potentially something out of the game or on our day. Of course, everything has to fit into us, but I'm trying to stay positive, man. I'm going for 1-0. I'll start off with you next, Patrick, and we'll go down.
I think we'll play harder, not difficult after Villa. Hope the crowd's behind us. Hope UD and AJ will be there and be behind the team. But I'm not optimistic about getting a result. We got 4 points last year off them. I'm gonna go 2-0 Man City. But again, if you're tuning in this show to listen to my predictions, you're mad. So don't listen to what I say. But I'm gonna say 2-0 Man City. Sorry.
Well, at least you know. At least you know.
I've been honest.
T, how are you seeing it?
Honestly, I was going to go with the same result that Patrick had. The reason why...
that's my guy right there. That's my guy right there.
The reason why I say that is because, number one, I don't think we're going to see... I think we're going to continue to see guys played out of position. And I think it's going to continue to hurt us as far as our attacking prowess, if I'm being honest. I think we may get a goal out of this one now that I think about it. So I'll go 3-1 Man City.
Boy, I love the optimism, I guess.
I had to be realistic.
Last week, everyone was talking about wins against Aston Villa and stuff, but now we're going 2-0.
Aston Villa ain't Man City, brother.
I'm done. Yeah, there is that. AJ, talk to me.
I don't know, I feel like we can rattle. We can rattle Pep. I feel like we can rattle him. Yeah, Pep's a bald fraud. 2-1 Palace.
Yo, my brother. I love it, man.
But somebody's got to beat him, innit? And I think
I'll take 2 shots on target. I'll take 2 shots on target. I don't know about 2-1. I'll take 2 shots on target to be fair.
2-1.
That'll be improvement. That'll be like double this. Well, we got defeats, we got draws, and we got a win. We got a variety of results here. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. How do you see this game going? Look, I'm going for a draw. Let us know how are you positive? Is there anyone that's positive? Is there anyone not maybe positive but optimistic about things can change, or is everyone just saying enough is enough? Vieira out. We hate Palace. It's awful. Well, look. That's it from me, Patrick T, and AJ. If you guys have enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. And share us your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree and disagree with some of our points? And until next time, up the Palace.